The picture of the emaciated and naked Blanche Monnier looks like something out of a horror movie. But it's not fiction. It's a real-life horror story. It was taken in 1901, when she was freed from the small attic room in her family's house, where she had been locked up for 25 years. In 1870s France, Blanche Monnier was one like many other young women trying to find a suitable suitor before it was too late. When she eventually fell for a man, it was not a man her family liked. He was a lawyer, but not a successful one, and he was much older than the 25-year-old Blanche. He was more or less broke, and Blanche knew that her mother, Madame Louise Monnier, would not like him. Since the death of Blanche's father, who had been the head of a local art faculty a few years earlier, his widow, Louise, had ruled the household with an iron fist. Her son Marcel showed great respect for his mother, while Blanche was a playful, free-spirited young woman who wanted to go her own way, with wavy curly hair, big beautiful eyes, and an extroverted personality. Blanche for a long time kept her love affair a secret from her mother, but eventually she found out about the relationship. After being told to end the relationship, Blanche still sneaked out the house at night to continue seeing her lover in secret. But then, one day, she was gone. Fast forward to May 23, 1901. A mysterious letter arrived at the Paris police office. The letter said, "Mr. Prosecutor, I have the honor to inform you of an exceptionally serious event. I am talking about an unmarried woman who is locked up in Madame Monnier's house." The police were shocked by the contents of the letter. The Monnier family was highly regarded in Poitiers. They were even descendants of the family that named the town, and Madame Monnier had been awarded a prize from the Committee of Good Work for her generous contributions. Despite Monnier's reputation, the police decided to search the house. Upstairs, they found a door sealed with a padlock. They removed it and opened the door. A terrible stench hit them. The officers also managed to open a window that had been boarded up. Daylight filtered into the small room, and there, in one corner, was a thin woman squinting at them. The unfortunate woman laid naked on a rotting straw mattress, one of the officers later described. "We also saw oyster shells and bugs running across the bed," he further described. "The air was so unbreathable. The smell in the room was so pungent that it was impossible for us to stay any longer to continue our investigation." The terrified woman was wrapped in a blanket and rushed to a hospital in Paris, where she was initially thought to be dying. She was extremely malnourished, weighing only 25 kilograms. Her tangled hair reached down to her knees. It was hard to believe that the skinny 52-year-old woman was the pretty young girl who had disappeared 25 years earlier. As Blanche was led out of the villa, Madame Monnier, then 75 years old, sat calmly behind her desk, wearing a beautiful black and white checkered dress. She was taken into custody, but was soon transferred to a hospital as well. There she passed away 15 days later. She got sick rather quickly after a long period of heart problems that had gotten worse. Before she died, she confessed her crime to the police. One night in 1876, Blanche had carefully made her way back up the stairs to her room so she wouldn't wake her mother or brother up. What she didn't know was that they were already awake and waiting for her upstairs. Together they made up a plan. They would lock Blanche in a small attic room until she agreed to break up with the lawyer. But Blanche was more stubborn than they expected, Madame Louise Monnier told the police. After getting used to the darkness and realizing there was no escape, she had decided to wait out her mother's actions. But the days turned into weeks, months, and then years. Even after the death of Blanche's lover in 1885, Louise refused to let her daughter out. The brother, Marcel Monnier, was charged with helping his mother kidnap and imprison Blanche. The trial began on October 7, 1901, and on October 11, Marcel was sentenced to 15 months in prison. He immediately appealed, claiming that Blanche could have left home at any time but chose not to. To the surprise and dismay of those present, he was cleared of his charges on November 20th. The court ruled that Marcel, a trained lawyer, did not have the mental capacity to free his sister, and also didn't have any obligation to do so under the law. In the hospital, Blanche had trouble adjusting to the light. She closed her eyes tightly to relieve the discomfort. Her hair was shaved off, and Blanche enjoyed being washed and breathing fresh air. "How lovely it is," she said. Despite her brother's claims that she was unpleasant, psychotic, and full of rage, the doctors noted that Blanche was calm and never became agitated or lost her temper. But she was affected by being locked up for so long and lived the rest of her life in a medical center. She died there 13 years after her release. During the trial, several witnesses said they heard Blanche pleadingly shouting words like freedom, police, and mercy. One of the witnesses claimed to have heard her cry out in despair, "What have I done to be locked up? I do not deserve this horrible torture. God cannot exist if he allows his creatures to suffer like this, and no one will come to my rescue." When someone had asked Mother Monnier what was really going on, she said that Blanche had gone mad. In the late 19th century, it was common to keep mentally ill family members locked up, so Louise didn't have to ask any more questions. However, the anonymous letter writer had more specific information about Blanche's imprisonment. "For 25 years she has been living in a garbage dump," the letter said. It has been speculated that the letter was written by a former soldier who had a relationship with one of the Monnier family's maids. Blanche would receive leftover food from the household servants, which is the reason why it is speculated that the soldier knew about the locked-up Blanche. Apart from the brief human contact during the leftover food deliveries, the rats were her only company. What she went through can only be imagined. Thank you for watching.